So
This
let's start our
conference will now be recorded.
so so we are going to discuss about the other areas of Jenkins apart from creation of jobs as a DevOps guy, as a admin, right? We are the admin people. So what are the other activities we are going to do on the Jenkins side, right? So now here the other activities are nothing but the one which is managing the load. Right? So what is the managing the load here? Let me start the Jenkins. Right. So now here if you guys observe here, we can see build executor status. There are total 5 rows are there, right? Nothing but you can run at a time 5 jobs on this mission. 5 jobs can be run parallelly on the server, on the Jenkins server. If the 6th job came into picture, then it will be in the queue until unless any one of the job is completed, because the capacity, like the value, nothing but the parallel running of the jobs we have mentioned as 5. So where we are going to mention this one? You guys remember or not? Manage Jenkins, and from the manage Jenkins we'll go to the configuration. Here you are going to find the build executors count, a property. The property will be holding a value like how many you want to execute parallelly. Number of executors 5. We can change it. We can change so that it's going to increase it. We can increase or decrease based on the system configuration. Usually on a server we are going to run 7 to 8 jobs parallelly. So if it is a good amount, like the server is having a good configuration. Okay, let's know here for us we can run 5 jobs at a time. Right now here the thing is I have total 5 jobs. Job 1, it will be for 1.5 hour. Job 2, it will be for 2 hours. Job 3, it will be for 2.5 hours. Job 4, it will be for 45 minutes. Job 5, it is like 1 hour 10 minutes. Then job 6 is like 5 minutes. Right, so now these are the jobs, right. So I started executing jobs one by one in the same flow. Right, so 1 hour, 1.5 hour, 2 point something like that. So now this job 6, hardly it will take 5 minutes, but this guy has to wait at least 45 minutes. This is the lowest value, right? So at least 45 minutes it will be in the queue so that it is going to execute. Suppose it is a critical job, it has to be deployed immediately. Then what we need to do? We need to stop any one of the job. Otherwise, it won't go into the queue. Right. So now here based on your executor status, the capacity, the jobs, those many jobs can be run in parallelly. When it comes to the other jobs, like beyond the threshold value, beyond the limit, then those jobs will be in the queue. So now in the production, right, so in our environment, right, it can be dev queue, whatever it may be. So we should not wait in other jobs like in a queue, right? So they cannot see the status of the job until unless one of the job is coming. Means minimum they have to wait for 40 minutes. It is not. This is not at all acceptable. Waiting for a job, waiting for a status, waiting for the results for 45 minutes is not at all acceptable. So then, how we are going to handle this kind of situations? So right. So there, in the Jenkins, we have a concept called master and slaves. So that we are not going to hold any jobs in a queue. When the job comes, it has to go, it has to execute on like whatever the time, like 5 minutes or 2 minutes on a flight. Right? We don't want to wait the jobs in a queue. Right. So for that, what we are going to do here is we are going to have our Jenkins. So now the Jenkins, suppose as an example, the capacity of the Jenkins is 3. So means 3 jobs can be handled at a time. When the fourth job comes, it has to be in the queue until unless one of the job is completed. So now to handle the situations in the Jenkins, we are having a concept called master and slaves. So nothing but we are going to create a mission here. A server mission means a virtual mission or a EC2 instance. Then we are going to treat this mission as a slave. So now this slave we are going to connect to the master. Now this Jenkins becomes a master. So now this slave is going to connect to the master. Then when the fourth job comes, we are going to tell our Jenkins to run the fourth job on the slave. Right. So now here it is not going to be in the queue. So if any other job comes, it is going to run on the slave. So likewise, if the capacity, suppose this capacity of the slave is 4 jobs can be run at a time. 4 plus 3, total 7 jobs we can run at a time. Now eighth job comes into the picture. Now what is the scenario? Again, we are going to add one more slave. This slave is going to connect to the master again, like that. Like that, the project, like that, the jobs, right? We will know at a time how many jobs are going. There is how that what is the chance of running these many jobs at a time? Right? Because very rarely we are going to run 10 to 15 jobs at a time. That is a very rare scenario. Hardly 4 to 5 jobs are going to run parallelly, not like 10 to 15 or 20 jobs. Right? If the project is very complex project, very huge one, yes, there is a chance. By that time, we are going to add more slaves. That's it. So when the complexity is going increase, then we are going to add the slaves. When there was not much complexity, only there is a chance of running 4 to 5 or 6 to 7 jobs. There is a chance can be run parallel means we are going to add 2 slaves like that. So like that, based on the project, based on the jobs, based on the scenario, we are going to add those many slaves to the master. That's what we are going to call as a master and slave. And here, one more advantage of the master and slave is not only handling the jobs, here, we will be having one more advantage. So the other advantage here is, suppose I want to build a job for the .NET applications. That .NET application, nothing but the Microsoft based out of application. That means the much support will be from the Windows when it comes to the Microsoft. Right. From the Windows side, you are going to get huge amount of support. When it comes to Linux, we are going to see some issues. Yes, we can build that one, but yes, we are going to face many issues when you are trying to build that .NET project on the Linux server. The compatibility issues. If I go for the Windows, if I start building on the building the code of the .NET and Windows, it will be like that only. Well, because the OS itself will be having the support. What are the packages are required, everything. But when it comes to Linux, it is going to lag. It is not going to have that much of support like the Windows is having. Right. So there, what we can do here is your server, Jenkins server is on Linux, right? Because the Linux is the like when compare the OSs Windows and Linux is better because based on the security thing, right? So most of the servers will be running on the Linux. Right. So now our Jenkins is Linux. So now here when I want to build the code, build means the CI/CD process, whatever the thing I want to uh, execute on the .NET code. So what I can do here is instead of going with the Linux server, I will create a Windows mission. a separate server. So now this server will be running with the Windows. Then this server I am going to attach as a slave to my Jenkins master. Now this Windows machine becomes a slave to the Jenkins. So now set up the project, the .NET code, the .NET project. Set up the project means run the project on the Windows. Simple, right? So finally you need a output, the artifacts, the DLL files. Right? How we are going to get the DLLs? That is up to in our hand, right? How we easily can get it. Again, the thing is security performance has to be taken care. Yes, anyway, if we are running on Windows, you are going to get the same performance, same thing, right? Because we are not going to deploy the applications. We are going to create the artifacts. So that is not a big deal for us. So now I will set up the project on the Windows slave, then I will get the artifact. Then again the artifacts will go back. Like from here, I'm going to get the information. Like as a slave, I'm going to use it for my requirement. Many cases will be there like that. I will show you an example, like how we set up the Windows, where exactly we have set up the Windows. Like yes, this is the best case actually. Right. So now the projects are not supporting on the Linux side. Then we are going to add the Windows as a slave. Then we are going to run the project on the Windows machine. You don't require to convert your Jenkins from the Linux to Windows to give the support. Right. So that's what one of the advantages of the slaves. Right. So you can handle the load, and also when it comes to the OS dependencies, OS compatibilities for the code, then yes, you can create the compatibility OS as a slave to the master, then execute the project on that particular OS. Right. So let's see. So how to set up the Windows as a slave to our Linux, means our Jenkins server, and how to set up the Linux as again the Linux instance as a slave to the Jenkins. Right. How we are going to set the Windows and Linux servers as a slaves to our Jenkins master. Right. So now here the first thing again the prerequisites. The prerequisites are here is, so you require a mission. It's a Linux mission or Windows mission. We need a server. Then the softwares. Right. What are the softwares are required here is only the Java is required. You don't require to install. You don't require to install or set up Jenkins on the slave machines. It is not required. Okay. So this is one of the entry question. They will ask on the slaves, right? So because you are trying to run the Jenkins jobs, so on the slaves also Jenkins is required for the compatibility. No, it is not required. Only the Java is required on the slave machines. Your master will be taking care of everything. Jenkins master will be taking care of everything. Okay, right. So now here the prerequisites are, we need a server. On the server, we require Java. That's it. Right. So now here, first I'm going to set up the Linux, then we'll go with the Windows. Right. So now to set up the Linux, I will go to the AWS dashboard. Then I'm going to launch the instance. No changes. Review and launch my key. Select launch instances. Now this is the new mission. Just now we have launched. So then the name I'm going to give it as Jenkins slave for easy identification. Right. So now here, once the machine is ready, as a prerequisite, the first step is install Java on the machine. Right. So I'm going to connect to this machine. Right. So let me go to our PPT, in another PPT, and I will take the steps of installation and configuring the our what is called environment variables. The same steps I'm repeating, no difference here. Install the Java and environment variables. So ctc profile echo Java underscore home confirmation. Right. So now Java is installed on this mission. 1.8 is installed. So right, the first step is done. Right. So this is the minimum requirement which is required to connect a machine, to connect a server, or we are going to call as a slave, to connect a slave to the Jenkins master. Mission is required on the mission. This Java is required. Right. So then the next step here. So the next step is the communication. Right. So now the communication means from the master to the slave. How we are going to communicate. Right. So now the communication part, always the suggestible and the safest, the secure way is SSH. Right. So we'll go with the SSH process to communicate from the master to slave. Right. So now here we know how to set up an SSH process between the two servers or two missions. Right. How to establish a SSH communication. Right. So now here only the point which we need to take in care here is to connect or to communicate between the servers with the help of SSH is who is going to connect. Right. So now here I have two servers. So now this guy wants to connect to this guy with the help of SSH. So now from here, who is trying to connect to the server with the help of SSH? The username. Right. Who means the user. Who is going to connect to the other server with the help of SSH? The username. Right. So here we are not going to create our own users if, to connect the SSH mechanism like Shankar or Ram or something. Right. So because here the users are not like the persons are not trying to connect between the servers. Here the service, the tool is trying to connect to the other server. Who is the tool here? The tool is called Jenkins. Right. The service or the tool, whatever it may be. Right. The Jenkins will be trying to connect to the slave missions here, not by a person. So now this guy is trying to connect. This means you need to create a private key and public key for this guy. Then we need to establish the connectivity between the servers with the help of SSH. Right. So now here, because the Jenkins is the one who is trying to manage all the stuff, the Jenkins. Right. So you need to give the authentications, authorizations to the Jenkins only, so that he's going to manage the stuff. Right. So now here, let me connect to my master also now. Right. So now I have connected to the master, and this is the mission just now I have created. This is a new mission just now I have created. Only the Java is installed. So now, before creation of the private key and public key for the Jenkins user, we need to see one more point here. So now here I'm trying to switch to Jenkins. See, the Jenkins is not able to switch. Means the user is not exist. So don't go for blindly to create a user here. Just go and verify whether the user is exist or not. How we are going to confirm? The PASSW is the file. We have the user, but when I'm trying to switch, it is not going to allow me. Why? The shell is not allocated to this user. If you guys observe here, automation server where lib Jenkins is the home location, here bin false. Right. So now here, whenever the Jenkins is installed on any mission, a user will be created, but the shell will not be allocated to the user. It's the default structure for the Jenkins, default behavior, right? So usually any user, if you created any user, we are going to see bin bash. The shell will be allocated so that we can switch. You can work with the shell, right? So su Shankar, switch to Shankar. I can switch because shell is allocated to me. But here I cannot switch because the shell is false. It is been false, not allocated. So then the first thing will be right. So the Jenkins user is already there. So we required shell. We require to allocate a shell to the Jenkins user so that we can work with the Jenkins user because by default the shell will not be allocated. Once the shell is allocated to the Jenkins user, then create the private key and public key. As usual, the process will be the same. Our SSH process will be the same. Okay, right. So here, let me go to the PPT. I will show you. I have given the steps here. I have mentioned the steps in the PPT as well. Right. So Linux mission as a slave here. Yes. So create a slave mission, install the Java, at the set up the environment variable, then add administrative service user to the slave server. This is the slave setup. We'll see later. Here on the Jenkins master, right? Switch to Jenkins user to and create the private key public key. So for that, the Jenkins will not be having the shell access. So for that, we are going to use user mod, then allocating the shell to the Jenkins user. This so that we can switch. Su Jenkins, we can switch it. Right. So this is the first step, right? The first step means once the missions are ready, slave mission is ready and your master is ready on the slave. Once the Java is installed, then the next step will be right. So allocating a shell to the Jenkins user on the master, right? So now here I will take this command, copy and go to the master here. So this is the master. Then here I am going to enter that command, user mod, su Jenkins. See here, where live Jenkins. This is my home location of the Jenkins. I switched it. I switch it to the user. Right. So now here, exit pwd. I am in the root. Then cat etc passwd. You can see here the Jenkins shell is changed from bin false to bin bash. Okay. So this is the next step. What we should do. So once the user is ready, then we need to create the private key and public key. Then the public key has to be copied into the other server, nothing but our slave, right? So switch to the user, su Jenkins, then pwd by default, right? So it will be in the root only, cd enter, then pwd. So now I can see here where live Jenkins. I am in the Jenkins home location, means I am in the Jenkins user. So now here ls-a, right? In the hidden directories, I am not going to find any .ssh, .mt, .log, something is showing, right? So I cannot see any .ssh, right? So because just for confirmation, any SSH folder is created for the to maintain the private key and public key. Right now, I don't see any .ssh. So then, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use the command ssh-keygen to create the private key and public key. For whom? The user Jenkins. Enter. Right. I'm going to go with the default. Enter. 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 Done. Right. So now automatically, right, we know this process, automatically .ssh will be created. So cd.ssh, then ls, you can see there are two keys are created. One is the private key and the second one is the public key. To whom? To the Jenkins user. Right. So then this is these are the steps from the master side, allocating the shell to the Jenkins user. Once the shell is allocated, switch to the Jenkins user, then create a private key and public key. That step is done. So now the other area. Nothing but copying the public key of the Jenkins user into the slave. Correct. So now when you are trying to copy, the user will be the Jenkins, right? So as a default on the new mission, you will not be having any Jenkins user, right? So right, we require a Jenkins user. Then once the user is created on the slave mission as well, then copy the key, right? So now these are the steps. These are the steps, right? So here user add, then password, so that I can copy the key into this slave mission by using SSH copy ID. Right, so I will go to the slave mission. Now user add Jenkins PASSWD Jenkins. I am going to use Jenkins as a password. Done. So cat etc PASSWD, that just for confirmation. Jenkins user is created. Right. So now here this guy means the Jenkins user required the admin privileges, because we are trying to run different steps on the slave mission. So those steps are require the admin privileges, nothing but the installations or removal or anything. Here the task can be anything. It can be installation, or it can be running a shell script, or it can be deletion of any some files or folders. Right? Anything can be a task for me. So now the task I'm going to convert into a job. Right? When I'm trying to execute the job, it is going to run my action. The actions are nothing but the commands. Now the commands are required the admin privileges. Otherwise, you cannot delete any files or you cannot install any softwares. Right? So for that, what we are going to do here is we are going to give the admin privileges to the Jenkins user, so that we are not going to face any kind of permission denied issues. Right. So now to give the admin privileges, we know, right, there is a file called sudoers. Sudoers is the file. There you can provide the permissions to the groups or the users. Correct. So now here I will go to the sudoers file. Then here I will search for root. So allow the root to run any commands anywhere, right? So the same record I am going to replicate, and here I am going to use, instead of root, Jenkins. Right, I am going to provide the same permissions to the Jenkins also. So but here this is for the commands and this is for the login mechanism. Right, I don't want to connect to the password. I want to go with the SSH. So that is the reason we are going to change from the all to go with the no password mechanism. No password. So just this user will be connected with the SSH only, without he is not going to use any password. Right. So this is the step. So now any user, if you want to give the admin privileges, this is the file, sudoers file, right? So save it. This is a shortcut. Just I'm repeating, guys. VS is a shortcut so that you don't require to change the permissions of the file. Otherwise, what will happen here? ls etc sudoers file. Only the read permissions you are going to have. You cannot modify this file straight away. Right, if you guys remember or not. So now when you want to modify it, you need to change the permission from the read to nothing but allocate the write also, then update the content inside the file, then come back, then remove the write permissions. This is one way. The second way is you don't require to change any permissions. Straight away you can use the command sudo. You don't require to change any permissions. Multiple ways. Okay. Right. So now this part is done.
Anchor.
Right, then yes, Chris.
Just one small question, because I had this problem I wanted to ask, but I forgot. So the shortcuts you're telling us, see, they're really good, but is there a chance that they won't work on all the environments or all the images? Because you know how you told us about the shortcut for the git commit -am.
Correct.
I couldn't get it.
Correct.
I couldn't use it in any of the images I was using.
You can, what kind of issue you are facing, Chris?
It says command not recognized or something. I will share you a screenshot, but I just wanted to ask, like, is
So
there a
here
chance?
now, yeah. So here the only one thing here is, when you are trying to use that kind of shortcuts, first at least one commit should be happened. Okay, so that's you need to change a file, just like add a line first time I'm trying to perform these operations, add a
Mm-hmm.
line as an example, then git add git commit as
Okay.
usual process. Then later on when you are trying to do the operations again on the same file on the repository, or then you can go with the git commit -am.
Okay.
Initially it won't recognize. Once at least one add one commit has to be happen, then later on it's going to recognize the git commit -am, the shortcut. try
Okay.
try in this way. Try in this way. If not succeeded, then please share me the screenshot. Okay, I will tell you where exactly the issue we are facing.
Sure. Thanks, Shankar.
Yeah, 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 Chris. Okay, so right, so now here, yeah, so where we are, yes, we have given the admin privilege to the user called Jenkins. This is on the slave mission, right? So even on the master mission also, better to provide the Jenkins admin privileges. But anyway, what where it is going to show you, it is going to throw an error of it is not able to run the commands. Then we can change it also. That is not a big deal for us. Just we need to know the process where exactly how to change or what to change. That's it. So now, I have provided the permissions. Then the second part is we are going to use the SSH copy. I am going to use the SSH copy ID command to copy the public key into my slave mission, right? So now here when you are trying to copy the public image, the connectivity is required. First time we are going to establish SSH, means we cannot use SSH. The other way is password mechanism. For that we are going to change the file, right? etc ssh. Inside the SSH there is a file called sshd configuration file. The same process, no difference here. Go to this file, then here search for password authentication, right? So here you can see, here I'm going to remove this comment, and here I'm going to add the comment. Save it. Finally, restart the SSH service. Service SSH the restart. Now the background process. Right? We are not at the Jenkins side. The background process, whatever we need to set up, that is done. Nothing but, right. So changing the allocating the shell to the Jenkins user on the master mission, then created a private key and public key on the master mission for the Jenkins user. That step is done. Then we came to the slave mission. On the slave mission we have created a Jenkins user. The Jenkins user is allocated the admin privileges. Then we have modified the password from the node.js so that I can copy the public key into the slave from the master. So now copy the public key, the last step. So now here I will go to the master. I am in the master and also I am in the Jenkins user. So now SSH copy ID command I am going to use. So then the username is Jenkins and the IP address of the slave mission. So I will go, and if you taken the public key, sorry, I meant to say public ID IP, the same. When you start the server, the SSH will be failed because the new IP will be allocated. So better always try to use the private keys whenever you want to configure, so that even though you stop and start it, you are not going to face this kind of authentication issues. Right. So anyway, I'm going to take the public key here. Sorry guys, public IP. Insert, enter. Yes, password is Jenkins. Done. Number of keys are added. Right. So means where it is going to add in the slave mission. On the slave mission, it is going to create a directory called .ssh for the Jenkins user. Inside the .ssh, we are going to see a file called authorized underscore keys. The file is going to create automatically. Everything is going to create by your SSH copy ID command. Right? I have shown you both the ways. Manual way of authentication, nothing but the copying the keys. or the command with the command. So when I move to use the command, automatically everything will be taken care by your SSH copy ID command. Nothing automatically means creation of data SSH directory inside the data SSH, creation of the authorized underscore keys file, and copying the public key into the place. But to do this, we require to change the password property as a S. Now I don't want to touch the SSHD file. SSHD file, I want to do the process. Then manual way. Go to the slave mission, create a data SSH directory. Then inside that create a file called authorized underscore keys. Then copy manually the key from here to there. Then we know both the process. How we want to go, up to you. So now just I want to confirm whether both are communicating or not. My master and slave. So now here I'm going to use SSH. Done. Right. Now here I can see 159 is the IP. It's switched. So if I go to the private IP, I can see 159. Communication is happening. That's it. Then the part background process is done. Then you can come out from the slave connection is right. So now go to the Jenkins side. So now once the SSH communication process is done between the servers, then we need to set up this slave to the master. So for that, go to the Jenkins and go to the dashboard of the Jenkins main. Then go to the manage Jenkins. This is the option again. Go to the manage Jenkins. Scroll down. We are going to see a option called manage nodes. Manage nodes and clouds here. Right. So now here click on this manage nodes. Right. Here you can see one server, one node is available with the name called master. Nothing but our Jenkins. This is the master node. Linux machine, 3D space, like the information about the server. So now here I want to add this slave to the master. So for that, I did the SSH mechanism in the background. Then here I am going to click on add a new node. Click on new node. So here the node name for identification. So I'm going to use Linux slave, some name, Linux slave. Now we need to add as a permanent agent to the master. Then click on OK. Right. So now a node is going to add here. A node. So now here you need to provide the required information to the master so that the master is going to connect to the slave mission. The required informations are here. Two things are important here. The one is remote root directory. Right. So now here our intention is to, when the fourth job comes into the picture, so already three jobs are running. So now the fourth job is not having the space in the master. So that is the reason we are trying to route the fourth job in the slave mission. Right. So now here we know there is a directory called workspace. Correct. In the master mission, there is a directory called workspace. Under the workspace, all the jobs are going to execute. Correct. Workspace is the directory. Here, whatever the jobs we are trying to execute, the job 1, job 2, job 3 will be running inside the workspace, temporary area. And in the same way, on the slave mission also, we need to provide, you need to tell the workspace so that whatever the jobs I'm going to execute, that will be run inside the workspace, like the master. Right? That's what the remote root directory. So right, where the job has to be executed, what is the location, right? So now here I will go to my slave mission. Yes, this one. So I will switch to the Jenkins user. CD enter pwd. So this is the location from Jenkins. So I'm going to provide this location here. so that I want to run this job inside this Jenkins directory of the slave. Now the red mark is gone. So now here the Linux slave is the name, description, what exactly the slave. Then again here the number of executors, right? So means on the slave, how many jobs you can run parallelly. Again, based on the system configuration, right, I'm going to give 4. So suppose means 4 jobs I can run parallelly. So now here I will come down. So labels is the one which is important, but not in all the projects we are going to use the slave. But yes, it is an important. Then sometimes it is an interview question for us. Okay, I will tell you the slave, the labels later. So now here I am going to use Linux as a slave label, or I will use the same only. So like how effectively you are going to use this node, the slave mission uses this node as much as possible. Only build the job with the label expression. With the label expression, then only I want to build the job. Basically, the default we are going to use, because when I require, I want to use the node. That's it. No conditions here. So use the node as well. So then this is the option. The second one is important for us. How we want to launch this agent slave. Right, launch agent by connecting into the master. Right, so means from the master we need to run the CLI command line mode, CLIs, uh, so that it can connect to the slave machine. Launch agent via the execution of the command. Okay, this is the one, execution of command. With the commands you can launch the slave, and from the master you can connect this launch. Means you will be having a JNL port number, like this is for the Windows sake. So this is then SSH. So I'm going to use launch. So now here it is going to ask you the host, right, which server you want to connect. So I want to connect my slave mission. Right, the credentials is going to ask nothing but the Jenkins credentials. So I am going to add my Jenkins credentials. So let me add username Jenkins, password Jenkins, early Jenkins slave. Available to keep this as an host key verification. Right, so here the host key nothing but when it's trying to connect, it's going to ask us, do you want to proceed? Yes, we are going to enter, right? So yes is nothing but the finger scanning, nothing but you can say it as a host key verification. So now here we can leave it as it is. If sometimes you are going to fail with the host key verification, then change to no. Don't check the host key. Simple, that's it. Okay, as of now I'm going to use the same thing. So now this keep this agent as much as possible, like online and right. So now here, out of all the properties, this is the mandatory one and this is the mandatory one. How to launch the slave and what is the remote. So when I say launch, these are the options I need to provide. That's it. These two things are important for us. So then click on save. Now you can see a node is added with the name Linux slave, but here you can observe a cross mark. Means it is not connected. It is not connected to the master. Now click on the Linux slave. Right. So here you can see log statistics can be verified. Logs can be verified here. Click on the log. Somewhere it will show us. Okay, so this is the log information. Nothing but whether this slave is connected to master or not. Now see here at the end, agent successfully connected and online. If you are facing any issues with the connection, here you can check the log, and also here it is going to show us the information. What is the issue? Why it is not able to connect? Then we can go and resolve the issues. Right. So now here I can see my agent is connected successfully. Then I will come back. I'll come back to the nodes. Now see the class mark is gone. Now the Linux slave is available. Linux machine is available. Right. So now here I will go to the Jenkins. Right. So I want to run a job on the slave. So I'm going to create a new item. Slave test. Some freestyle job. Click on OK. I will go to the build section. Execute shell. I want to create a file. Touch slave.txt. A file I want to create. Apply and save. So now if I run this job, what will happen? It is going to run on the master only. Simply I have created a slave mission, but in this job configuration, nowhere I have mentioned like go and run this job on the slave mission. And then what will happen if I run the job? Automatically it will go to the master. It's going to run the master. Right. So means you need to tell somewhere in the job that run this job on the slave. Okay, right. So here I will go to right. So here I will go to the first server side. Just I want to show you how the clear cut picture on this. So now I will go to my master mission. So I'm in the master ls. So I'm in the data set cd ls. Right. So give me a second, guys. Now I will go to the workspace cd workspace. That this is the workspace where you can find all the jobs information. Correct. So now here you can see CA job, dev job, GOL job, something. Right. So here the new job called slave test. The slave test we are not able to find here. GHMPQS. Right. Sample and SIT SONA test. No slave test. Okay. So right. This is the master mission. As of now, I don't see any slave test. Right. So when the slave test job is going to create here, when I execute the job, I have created it as of now. I did not execute when the moment I click on build now. Now in the workspace, you are going to find the slave test job. That is quite common, right? So now here, I don't want to run this job on the master. I want to run this job on the slave, right? So for that, go to the configuration again. In the general section only, in the general section only, we are going to find a property called restrict where this project can be run. Right, this is the property you are going to see when the slave is added to the master. So select this property, label, right? So label expression, right? Whatever the label name we have provided here, manage Jenkins, manage nodes, Linux slave, right? So click on here, settings, configurations, labels. So this is what the label here. So now it is going to ask there actually the label expression. Right. So now here I will go to the slave test and I'm going to click on the configuration. Then general restrict where this project can be done. Then the label name has to be provided here. right? It is an autofill. Just try to press a 1 letter or 2 letters L. You can see the label name. Select it. That's it. Then apply and save. So this is the configuration has to be done so that the particular job is going to run on the slave. Right. So now click on the bill now. Job is successfully executed. So now go to the console output. You guys can observe here building remotely on Linux slave. Now this job is executed on the Linux slave, not on the master. Right. So now here, what are the steps? So now here I will go to the master again. Right. So here in the workspace, just I want to confirm it. The job is not executed on the master. Right. For the confirmation again, I'm going to run ls command. Still, right, I cannot see any job with the name slave test here. Right. So it is not executed on the master. Now I will go to the slave. We are in the home location of the Jenkins ls. You can see workspace is created. Now cd workspace. Inside the workspace, we are going to find the slave test. Right, cd slave test. You can see the slave.txt file created. Right. So now here the advantage of the Jenkins here is you don't require to go and to the slave missions and verify the information. Right. So the information will be captured on the Jenkins master only. From here you can verify it. Even though it executes on the master slave, you don't bother about it. Simply you can go here and you can verify the information. That's what advantage of the master and slave concept. Right. You don't require to go to the slave missions to verify the things. Right. So now here one more point from the slave side is that it is a straight away step. Straight away step is nothing but on the slave test. If I go to the job, if I go to the configuration, there I can see simple Linux command. Right. So now if I take a process, right, the execution of Maven build life cycles, Maven clean, Maven test, Maven package, then sonar, then nexus, many steps we have executed. Right. So now here, when I want to run the Maven build life cycle, what I did there is in the Jenkins master, I have used a tool called global tool configuration. Right. So in the global tool configuration, I asked my Jenkins to install Maven for me. Right. Install Maven for me here. Right. So that the Maven is automatically installed here. But if I want to run the same clean install or clean package Maven build page on this slave mission, what will happen? It is going to run? No, because the Maven is not available on the slave mission. So the Maven command will be failed. Simple, right? So that once if the Maven is there on the mission, then only you can run any Maven build pages, build commands. If the Maven is not there, if you are trying to run, it is going to fail. The Maven is not recognized. Right. So on the master, we have a process. Like you can ask the Jenkins to install the Maven. But for the slave, no, we don't have such kind of process. Then how we are going to set up this one? Your manual. Install the Maven here. Then we have a option in the manage node section. Go to the Jenkins. Go to the manage Jenkins. Then here go to the manage nodes. Go to the configurations. Scroll down here. You can see the node properties is the option. That any global variables, environmental variables you want to create for the node slave, you can create here for the node. Likewise, if you want to run the Maven commands or you want to run the Docker or some any other tools, right? This is the one. Git Maven Maven 3.0, Sonar Cube. That these are the data it fetched from the master. Then this thing, suppose if I select the Maven, then the location of the Maven on the slave. As an example here, that is under user share Maven. This is the location of the slave. That's the path has to be provided. So that it is going when you are trying to run the Maven on the slave machine, it is going to point to this path and it is going to execute the your Maven beacon. Otherwise, it is going to fail. This is how on the slaves we require to set up the tools. Otherwise, you cannot run the steps. The steps are nothing but wherever the tools has to be included in the process of your CI/CD. The tools are not available. If the tools are not available on the slave machine, it is going to throw an error, not recognized, not recognized. So now those tools have to be set up or installed on the slave machine. Those information has to provide here, so that it is going to recognize with the names here. So I select Maven. If I said Maven, then when I'm going to execute on the slave, then it's going to pick this one. If I'm going to use the Maven and the master, it will pick from the global tool information, like that. So like that, the Jenkins will play the means picking the role, picking the paths of the tools like Maven or Docker or whatever it may be, by picking from here for the slave missions, picking from the global tool for the master mission. This is one point which you need to remember, guys. So then this part, label, right? So now we have seen the label part, nothing but, right, when I want to execute this job on the slave mission, so there it is going to ask you the label expression. So that's where I have given this one. That is not the only purpose of by giving the label name here, right? So there is one more purpose also, one more advantage with the label also, right? So here, this is my master, and now this is a slave I have configured. So now on the slave, what I did here is, like, now these are the executors on my slave. So now total 6 jobs can be run on the master and slave. 3 on here, 3 on here. So now the question from the interviewer is, suppose this slave is gone. Now how we are going to handle this job? Now the team wants to execute the job 5 or job 4. Already 3 are running here, right? So now the slave is not available. What will happen? How we are going to handle the situation, right? So that's where the label expression comes into the picture, right? So now here in our mission critical applications, not every project, not every, right? So here the thing is that based on the project again, project priority, right? So now here the project is very mission critical, like you cannot waste even single second also, right? By the time the client won't bother about the budget. They can spend any amount of money, but they want to have the applications and everything infrastructure will be always up and running without any lags, without any performance issues, without any security problems, or without any issues they want to see. They don't want to see. Always it will be with the high performance, with the high availability infrastructure, right? So now that kind of applications, that kind of projects, we are not going to set up something like that, because there is a chance of the server may be down. Then many reasons will be there to down the server. We cannot predict it. We cannot predict it, right? So by the time how they're going to handle, you cannot go and rectify it, because the solution, you don't know what the problem. If the problem is very simple problem, just within the seconds or within the minutes, you can bring it up the mission. If the problem is very critical, then you need to spend some amount of time. Now the client is not going to allow you to give that much of time to bring up the mission. He cannot, because he already upfront he told like I don't have any constraint on the budget, but my infrastructure should be always up and running without any issues. That's what the deal, right? So there, what we are going to do, we are going to add one more mission here also as a slave, same like executor 1, executor 2, like that, right? So now I have added 2 Linux missions. Then how I'm going to recognize, that's what the label will come into the picture, right? So here I'm going to use Linux slave. Here I also I'm going to use Linux slave. This mission also I'm going to recognize with the Linux slave. That's it. So now 2 missions are created. Both are given the name as a label name, Linux slave, Linux slave. So now here, when I'm going to configure it, I'm going to use the label name, Linux slave. Sorry. So that what the master is going to do, it is trying to run the job on the slave 1 or something like that. By the time the slave mission is not available, it is down, then simply it is going to run on the slave, because both are going to identify the same name. Likewise, we are going to maintain the high availability. That's where the label expressions we are going to use, so that we can group the missions with the same name. A single mission can be used like this, or multiple missions can be used as a group with a single name called some name, Linux slave here. So that's what the label here. So you can like, so now here that again group multiple agents into one logical group. The labels are, so the purpose is to maintain the high availability, right? So that is, again, we are not going to use in all the projects. In our projects we are not going to use any kind of this grouping, because the our budget constraints. My customer is not going to give this much of budget to add this kind of features. Then simply we are maintaining the slave, one slave and my master, like that. Some problems is happen, so we are going to send an email to the downtime, but otherwise we'll route the jobs into master. Like that is in our process, how we are going to handle it. Everything in the budget, everything from the client side only. So how they want to maintain the project, based on that we are going to add this kind of features. Not like every project will be having the same setup. Yes, but yes, our Jenkins is providing these kind of features so that you can maintain the high availability. This is what the label use. This is one of the entry question for us, right guys? So now this is the master and slave setup for the Linux server, right? So now here I want to set up the Windows
Replica.
mission as a yes sir.
Yeah, so it is a kind of replica, right? So the slave, whatever you said.
No, not a replica. It is not a replica, it is separate mission. If I say replica means all the jobs are going to replicate, all the jobs should be replicated on the slave mission also. All the configuration of the master should be replicated on slave mission also. It is not a replica, it is a master. Master will be having their own configuration, everything. The slave is like a separate server. That's it. That slave I'm going to use it to run my jobs. You cannot see any information about the, or let me say it. You cannot see this information on your slave. Even your Linux slave, the slave machine not having any kind of GUI. If I say replica means I can launch the Jenkins with my Linux slave IP also. By using the Linux slave IP, I should launch if it is a replica. Correct? It is not going to like that. Just it is a mission. The mission we are going to use to run the job. No, because only the thing is here, I don't require to launch here also, because I did not set up any Jenkins. If the Jenkins is installed, then only I can launch it. But on the slave machine, we don't install any Jenkins. Right. So it is not a real replica. It is just a mission. On the mission, you are going to run the job. That's it.
Okay, if the server is going down for the slave, then only it is going to refer it, right?
If the slave machine is going down, then simple what will happen? So this job, suppose, let me stop this job. So I will go to the Jenkins and I will go to the manage Jenkins. Let me go to the manage nodes. right? So now here, what I will do, this slave, I'm going to stop it temporarily. You can see disconnect, or click on here, make this node temporarily offline. So you can stop the mission temporarily. So if you want to perform any kind of updates on the server side, so by that time you should not run any jobs. So then what I can do, I can stop the mission for temporarily. Now this mission is disconnected. Right. So now you can see, bring this back to mission. So if I go to the nodes again, right, so now here this is a cross mark. I can see it is temporarily off. Then go to the Jenkins and go to your slave test and try to run. It is pending the slave. It is in offline. You can see pending. The job is not going to run, right? So now here, if you set up any time idle timeout, right? So you have an option, right? So if you set up an idle timeout, so like the machine is idle for 10 minutes, then you go to fail because the slave is down. That's what the impact you are going to see. But if I go to my master, and here if I go to my what is called a sample job or something, what the sample job is going to be here. It's like a simple job, right? So let me execute this job. Build with parameters, build. Maintain 614. Today what? Build with parameters. So it will build. Yes. Job, right? So now you don't see any impact, right? So here only the impact is whatever the job I have configured to execute on the slave, that is impacted. This one, it is in the pending state, but not the other job. You are not going to, your work is not going to stop. You can work with the other thing stuff, right? So that's what the slave is a mission. That's a simple mission. On the mission, you are going to run a job. That's it. It is not going to impact any other things. Whatever the jobs you are trying to run on the mission, those jobs cannot be executed. Then what I can do here is simple. What I will do, I will go to the slave test. I will configure it. Suppose the machine is down, then it is taking some amount of time to fix it. Simply I'm going to remove this option. Apply, save, bill now. So you already executed, done. Like that. That's it. So job is executed. Right. So now the slave is not an alternative for master. It is not a replica of master. Nothing. It is nothing to the master. It is it is an add-on. It is an add-on feature to the master mission, so that you can route the traffic, route the jobs to the slave mission. That's it.
Shankar, I'm clear on that part. Can you go to the diagram once? I'll tell you.
Okay.
So here in the slave part, you said suppose there is a slave node is down, okay, and
Mm.
you created one separate side box also, right? Okay, so
Separate server.
correct. So I want to know like when this particular will be getting executed. So like we are going to create same machine also.
Yes, exactly. That's what is the server again. Is the second server
Okay,
slave.
again different server. Okay.
So you have to place one more server. Then only you can execute. Otherwise, you cannot execute. That's why, right? So if the machine is down, the slave one is down. So now the job should not be halt until unless it is back. Right. So what is going to do, the master is going to run the job on the other slave.
Okay.
You have to
So but
you
the
have
two slaves will be having the same amount of information, right?
exactly, the two missions will be having the same amount of information with the same names, label names.
Okay. Okay.
If you change the label name also, it won't work
And this is
like
what I
that.
wanted. And also like there
Mm.
is no limit of creating this dependencies, right?
Yes,
So now
yes,
you are
yes,
seeing
exactly.
only one.
Yeah, there is no limit. That's what now. If it is a mission critical project or something, na, so there you don't require means you don't need to bother about how many slaves you are going to add. You can add hundreds of slaves also.
Okay. But the
The
backup
master,
copies also, do we have any limit for backup copies? Like here we
that,
are seeing only one, right?
What is the backup copy here?
The
This
left
one.
one. Yeah.
This one. So here here, yes, that's what here. Suppose if you think like this can be down,
Mm-hmm.
then add one more thing. That is up to right. That's what the based on the thing is, right? So if you think like maybe the second slave can be, there is a chance of second slave can be done. So then what you can do, you can add one more slave based on that, right? So here, right, so you usually what you are going to do, if you want to upgrade my laptop, so if 4 GB is not sufficient, then what you will do, you're going to upgrade to 8 GB. If 8 GB is not sufficient, then you're going to upgrade to 16 GB up to the limit level. After 16 GB cannot, because the mission capacity is 16 GB max. Now
Okay. It's
why
again
you
based
are
on the
going to
configuration.
that's it. Why you are going to go for 16 GB means you want to see high good amount of performance, blah blah blah, right? So the same here also. You have a doubt that the second can be down. There is a chance of second can be down. Then you add one more in the group like that.
Yeah.
Okay, right? So
Yeah.
then, yeah, this again, guys. Yes, yes. This is again a separate server. The same configuration has to be done, like how we have added the slave mission. The same setup has to be done. Then just the same information has to provide to the slave. Then only the master will be taken care of running the job on the other slave if something went wrong with any another slave. Okay, right. So then let's move to the Windows Windows mission as a slave to our Jenkins master. Right. So now if I want to configure the Windows mission as a slave to master, same story, no difference. You require a Windows mission. On the mission, Java, Java has to be installed. So now here I will go to my AWS dashboard. I will click on the launch instance. I will take Windows mission, free tier one. Okay, these are the free two images are available for the free tier. So I will take the Windows one, select. Everything is same, no difference. Remain launch. Launch. Technology. Same key I'm going to use to connect my Windows machine also. It is not created. Launch instance. Select. Event launch. Launch. Ohio. Acknowledge. Launch. Go to the view instances. Right. So now this is the Windows machine we are trying to create. So Windows slave someday. Let's connect to the slave machine once it is ready. The Windows machine will take some time because it is going to have the GUI, right? It's not like Linux. So it will take some time to bring the machine into online. So now we can see running, but still it is initializing. Let's try to connect. So click on connect. So now here, right, the Windows machine is going to use the username and password, right? So there we require a password to connect. So now we're going to use the remote desktop client to connect it. So now here, this is the remote desktop file, and here you can see the password. So now here, we know the admin name, sorry, the username is administrator here, then the password is going to ask. So we require to get the password. But here in the sense, when I'm trying to create the mission, by that time I have selected the key, my private key, Shankar Hoyo. That is for my Linux, right? You cannot use the private key to connect the Windows machine. That is the reason here it is going to ask us to convert that private key into password. Right. So now here get password, click on the get password. Right. So still the password is not available at mains, still the machine is not ready. Until unless the machine is not ready, you're not going to see the option to convert to get the password. At least 4 minutes. Please wait at least 4 minutes after the launching an instance before trying to retrieve the auto generate password. Right now here you can see key pair path. So now choose the file. So what is the file here? Your private key, the PEM file. So now here you need to select the PEM file here. So Shankar Vahaya is the PEM file which I have used to create the mission. This is the one. Select it, not the PPK, the PEM file. Open, then click on the decrypt password. So now we got the password. Copy the password, then download the remote desktop file. So that is going to download into your local. Then open it. Connect. The password, what is the password you have copied? Paste it here. Connect. Yes. This is my Windows instance on the AWS. Right, mission is ready. You can see the Windows mission. So now the first step is we require the Java on this mission. Right. So now here what you can do, you can open the Internet Explorer and download the Java, or you can, if you have the Java ready, copy and paste it. So now somewhere I have the Java. This is the one. So copy it. So I download all the Java on this mission, right? You know, right? So go to the browser, then you can ask for Java for Windows, free Java software, Java download. So download it so that it's going to download into your machine like this. Then you can double click on this mission, sorry, I mean the executable file, so that it is going to install Java on your machine. So what I will do, I have copied it, then I will go to my slave machine, nothing but the Windows one, then PC. Here this is the my hard disk. So here I'm going to paste it. Right now install it. Double click. install Java successful install, close. Right, so now here minimize this window, the slave one. Now go to the Jenkins again. Go to the Jenkins and manage Jenkins. Right. So when you want to work with the Windows slaves, work with the Windows slaves means when you want to connect the Windows slave to the master, one property has to be configured. We require to change one property. So where we need to change is we need to change in the global security. So configure global security. Okay. Now go to the configure global security. Right here, scroll down. Somewhere we are going to find an option. SSH or JNLP, something will be there. Agents. Agent. So now here the TCP port for to inbound the agents. So here by default is disabled. So now we need to change it as to random or fixed. So now here we are going to use a port, TCP port to connect the master to slave. Right. So now here the port, if you know the port, if you want to allocate any specific port, we can allocate it. So the fixed port we can allocate to connect the agents from the master, or if you don't have any port, simply give the option of run. Automatically your Jenkins will take a port to connect to the from the master to slave. Let's suppose I want to give some port number, something like 8899. This is the port I want to allocate to connect my agent to master. Right. So by default it will be disabled. We need to change it to random or some kind of fix. If you maintain the fix means you need to provide some port number. Otherwise, give it to the random so that the mission, the master will be taken care of, taking a port, a random port to connect to the slave. This is the one property which we need to change to connect from the master to slave. The slave is the Windows mission. If the slave is the Windows mission, then apply and save. Right. So now here the master and the slave communication between the Windows and your Linux master is going to use JNLP protocol. Java Network Launch Protocol is going to use. So now the JNLP port is the 88.99 I have provided there. That port number, a fixed port number. So now I will go to my manage Jenkins. Then here I will scroll down and click on the manage nodes, create a new node. Here I am going to use Windows slave. Right. So if you are right, so here the option is nothing but this is the example. Right. Already one slave is there, some configurations, the same, right? I'm going to create one more slave with the same configuration. Simply can take the cup from. So right, this is a separate mission. So I'm going to add as a permanent agent, click on OK. Right here, the thing is, right, on the slave mission, right? So here, what is the location you are going to provide to run the job? So here I'm going to provide the location like Jenkins, some name, copy, copy the path and go here and provide the path. The second one is the label name, the same I'm going to provide, or you can give any name. So now here the launch agent by connecting it to the master. Right, this is the first one which we are going to use to connect the master to the slave with the agent, nothing but the JNLP agent. Enter. Right, so then the rest of the options can be ignored. Instead, something like so. Click on save. Now you can see by default a node will be created, but it's not going to connect to the master like our Linux level. Right, so now I need to connect it. So to connect it, click on the Windows slave. Right, so now there are different ways, different methods to connect from the master to slave. If the machine is slave machine, right? The one is with the help of launch agent. The second one is you can run the commands, right? So run a command. So copy this command and run on your master mission so that you can connect to the slave, or copy this command and run on the agent, run from the agent from the slave mission. Right, from the slave mission you can connect to the master. From the master you can connect to the slave by using the command line. Right, or simply you can use the launch agent from the browser itself, you can run it. So now I'm going to use this launch agent one. So click on the launch. So a agent will be downloaded. Keep, so slave agent fives are there. So now let me remove all the agents first to instead of just I'm trying to remove so to avoid the conflicts. It's not mandatory to remove something like that. Just I'm trying to show you how exactly it will be looking like for you if you are trying to set up the slaves. Right, so now let me go to the browser, click on the launch. Right, so something like that you are going to see slave agent dot JNLP. Right, as I said, it is going to use Java Network Launch Protocol. Right, so here once the JNLP is downloaded, where it is downloaded, it is on our laptop, on my laptop, not into my master mission or not into my slave mission. Right, so it is downloaded into my local, my workstation. So let me go to the downloads. Here you can find the JNLP. Copy this JNLP file, then go to the slave mission. Go to the slave mission and paste it somewhere. So now try to double click, try to open it. So now it's going to open the Java Network Launch Protocol. If everything goes fine, it is going to connect. Now I think it is going to fail. It is not going to connect. unable to launch the application, right? So why? Because, right, so if you want to see the logs, click on the details, then it's going to show you the exceptions, fail to unable to load the resource, something, right? So the jar file is not able to download because here it is trying to get this information, your Jenkins information, right? So here, if you guys observe here, it is trying to connect to 178:8080. But here, if you observe, my Jenkins is running on 232.8090. Completely different, completely different, right? So now here, this agent will try to pick the information from the Jenkins, from your Jenkins application, from the configuration section. Manage Jenkins. From the configuration section is trying to pick the your Jenkins server information. So if I click on the configure system, scroll down, see here Jenkins URL, right? 178 is exactly the same. 178, right? So when the moment we install the Jenkins, we set up the Jenkins, the first time, right? So the first time when the system is set up on the system, the Jenkins is installed, is trying to capture the at that time what is the IP is provided to the server, then what at that time what is the port number which you have used to launch the Jenkins. So now by default it is 8080. By that time my IP of the Jenkins is this one. But later on what I did, I changed my port number from 8080 to 8090. Then also frequently I'm stopping my mission. So when the moment I stopped and when the moment I started, the IP is going to change because it's a public cloud, right? So that is the reason the IP is going to change. So now here just take this information here, whatever the latest we are having, copy it, then try to replace it. That's it. That's what we need to do. So now I updated with my latest information about my Jenkins, then apply and save. Right. So now let's go back to the slave machine again. Click on OK, close it, then try to launch it again. That you have Java version out of date, update later. Okay, I don't want it now, do it later. It's still here, you can see it is trying to point at 178 means the jar file, whatever the jar file, like I mean to say this agent, whatever the agent we have downloaded, the agent is already captured the previous information. So it is trying to always connect to the previous information only. So for that, what we need to do here is simply delete this stuff because it is already having the old information. So I'm going to delete this JNLP file. Then I will go back to the master setup again, master node setup again. Click on the manage Jenkins and go to the manage node section. So here also I'm going to delete it. So manage nodes here, click on the Windows slave again. Right now try to launch it again so that it's going to take the latest info of the slave. So now it is downloaded. Go to the download folder, copy the file again, the JNLP file, copy and go to the slave machine again and paste the file. Now this is the first JNLP file. Now try to launch it. See here, it moved, right? So click on the run. Now it's trying to connect it. Now see, you can observe here, it is connected, right? So now here, your agent is successfully connected, the JNLP agent. So now let me go to my Jenkins master, click on the nodes. Now you can see the red mark is gone. It is available. It is online. It is a Windows server, right? So now again, go to the Jenkins, click on new item to test it. Click on new item. Now here I'm going to give some name, Windows test, freestyle, okay. Then here I'm going to go to the restrict where this project can be run. W, Windows slave, click on the build, add build stuff here. I cannot use the shell because it is a Windows slave. Run the Windows batch command. Execute Windows batch command. Simply I'm going to run dir command to list out the files information like ls in the Linux. Here dir. Click on apply and save. Now try to run the job. Click on build now. If I go to the console output, it should show me it is running on the one second on the Windows slave. Right, the job is successfully executed. It displayed the information, the dir, like what are the command I have executed. So Windows test, I can see the job is successfully completed. So now if I go to my slave mission, right, the location I have provided the location called Jenkins. If I go to the Jenkins, there I can see workspace directory is created. If I go to the workspace, I can see Windows test is the job I have created. Right. So like that, right. So like that, you can create the master and slave. Then you can run the jobs on the slave missions from the master by selecting the appropriate options and by creating the appropriate nodes. Now here I can see I have master and I have a Linux slave and I have a Windows slave. This is currently in offline. Right guys? So this is how we are going to create the slave missions, and this is how we are going to add the slaves to the master. If it is a Windows, that is the process JNLP. If it is a Linux, SSH. Right. So now in the freestyle jobs, when I want to run my job onto the slave, simply there is an option called restrict where this project can be run. Right. When it comes to the pipeline, right? When it comes to the pipeline, then how we are going to tell. Right. So when it comes to the pipeline, then simply what you are going to do, you are going to tell in the agent section. Right. So let me go to the pipeline code. Then if I open the Jenkins file, this is the one. So agent is the section, right? We have seen after pipeline, you are going to have the agent. Then the label is the property name, right? What are the label name you have provided? The label name has to be given here, right? By default, right here you have mentioned like master means I want to run my job on the master. Now when you want to run the job on the Linux slave or Windows slave, just you need to provide this name here in the pipeline, whatever the name, so that this job is going to run on the particular agent. That's what we need to provide in the pipeline code, where this job want to run, where you want to run this job, where means on which mission you want to run this job, right? So as I said, right, Windows, right? So you don't require to change the OSS. So when you want to run the jobs on the Windows for the compatibility, simply you can use this Windows. What you can create a Windows mission as a slave, then you can attach the slave mission to your Jenkins master, then you can run the job. A use case I will show you right now. Right. So here, this is my current project. So now this is our my project, right? Here a number of jobs you can observe here. So now here my QA team, my testing team created their automation job. Like you can observe here, con automation QA, con automation QA, UAT, something like that. So now this job is nothing but they are trying to run some PowerShell scripts. They are trying to run the PowerShell scripts, so that it is going to execute the test cases. A test suite they have created, the test suite they want to execute on the environments. Like right now they want to execute on the QA environment. Right, so now here the purpose of the test case is nothing but every day they are going to run the test suite on the QA environment, nothing but the application on the QA environment. What are my application is going to run on the QA, right? So this application they are going to validate on the QA environment by running this test suite. So if any bugs are there during the validation, they are going to capture and they are going to raise the bugs to the development team. That these are the issues you are finding in our application which is running on the QA environment. Right, that's process they want to have an automation. My management asks us, we need an automation so that every day a test suite has to be executed so that I want to see how the application is behaving. If any issues, upfront capture it and raise the bugs. So for that, what they did is, so they, as part of their like their skills, they are very good with the Microsoft PowerShell scripts. So they what they did is they have implemented the automation suite with the help of PowerShells. Right, so now when I want to execute the PowerShell, there are the required dependencies, right? So now here it's not like a simple executing a PowerShell code. So right, it is going to download the required dependencies to run the test suite. So many things is going to happen in the background. Right, if I'm going to try to run the Linux, then those dependencies information I'm going to miss it out. So if I run the Windows, it is a smooth flow. It's a smooth flow for us. But if I go to Linux, then I need to go and sit with the testing team and I need to ask the each and every information how they configured it to run this test suits. Right? Instead of wasting that much of time to spend the time with the people, do all the stuff, what I did is I created a Windows slave mission. Right. So that Windows slave mission, then on the slave mission we have configured it. So these are the steps. So this is the code from getting the gate. Then here you can see like, so these are the process, right? So the batch command, they are trying to run some PowerShell scripts here by passing some information. Right, so it's completely Windows support. So right, so here they can see the environment will something. So whatever the code they have configured, simply they want to they need the execution. But what I did is here is if I go to the Linux, then everything I need to convert it here. Whatever passing, whatever the info they are passing, whatever the command they are passing, I need to convert into my Linux stuff. So right, so I don't want to take this thing to me, this burden on me. So simply I have created a Windows mission. So they think they are going to execute. We have set up this process. Then finally here we have mentioned restrict where this project can be run QA test node. This is my Windows slave mission. Just know how we have configured it. In the same way we have configured the slave mission. Then there's the Windows mission. On the Windows mission, these steps we are trying to run. That's it, right? So likewise, then what will happen? So we have automated it. So every day morning, so this is the schedule. So every day morning the job is going to run and is going to generate the reports, and the reports are going to send to the team. Like a kind of use case I'm trying to explain you guys, right? So this is how the reports and other stuff. So likewise, right, so you don't require to go and convert into the Linux and blah blah. Simply what we can do, we can create a slave mission. When you require the other OS, anything, any OS you can take it. Right, so yeah, so this is about the master and slaves setup on our Jenkins. Right, so now when you want to see what are the jobs are running on the slave mission, simply can click on the slaves. Then here it's going to show you what are the jobs are running on the particular slave mission. So now if I go to my dashboard, this is our setup. If I click on the Windows slave, then here it is going to show us what are the jobs are running on the slave mission. You can right, so from here you can manage the job, you can execute the jobs, you can build the jobs, what you want, you can do it here. So likewise you can see the jobs particularly running on the slave mission. You can see the like, because here there are n number of jobs are there. So out of all the jobs I want to know what are the jobs are running in the slave and what are the jobs are running on the particular slave. Right? Instead of going to the job configuration, simply you can click on the slave node, the nodes there. You can going to show you what are the jobs are running on this particular nodes. Right. At present, no jobs are running here. Just now you bring it back. That is the reason it is not showing anything here. If I go to the Windows slave, it should show us one job which was run right now. Right. Right. Right, guys. So yeah. So we'll take a break right now for 15 minutes. Then we'll come back and see the other options or the other sections of the Jenkins. Right.
And
Okay.
Hello. Yeah.
thank you, Chris.
Yes, Chris. Yes, Chris.
Do you have 2 minutes for a couple of questions?
Sure. Sure. Yeah.
Okay, so can we please go back to the picture you drew on the slave and master?
Okay.
So let's say, for example, we're running. So as of now, in the class, what we spoke about is we actually defined a job to run on a particular slave, isn't it?
Correct.
So can we actually automate the process? And let's say, for example, if we have 6 jobs or 7 jobs, and if we can run
Okay.
5 jobs on a master, can we
Okay.
automate the jobs in such a way where the, let's say, for example, if the master can run 5 jobs, and if the 6th job is triggered, can we define in a way where the 6th job will actually start on the slave automatically instead of defining a particular job on a particular slave? Can we do that?
No. So yeah. So here na it is not going. The master will not be act as a load balancer here. So whatever the scenario we are talking about is nothing but the load balancing concept. So here, when the moment the load is coming to the master here, so now what the master is going to see, what are the slaves are available here. Then if suppose this slave is available, then the load is going to route to the slave instead of predefining the jobs, pre-configuring the jobs. So now here in the master slave concept of Jenkins, it is not going to behave like a load balancer, but upfront we need to configure it. So we need to tell, so execute this job on the slave and execute this job on the slave, like that.
Okay, so we
So
have to define in job
yes,
itself where it needs to run.
yes, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, and my second question was probably this is probably it's the same thing. So my second question was, so let's say, for example, if we have 11 jobs running at the same
Yes.
time, can we
Okay.
configure on the master where we can actually trigger the second slave to come online to run the 11th job? We can't do that.
So yeah, we can't do that actually. Yes, that's what. So the load balancing concept is not there, so you can add. So you have to. The only the thing they have provided is you can add the slave, but you have to configure it. What are the jobs you want to execute. So now,
Okay.
if there is a chance of the slave maybe go down, so for that create a group like that. That's it.
Okay.
So no
So
other
we have
functions.
to predefine. It has to be predefined, but we can't
Yes,
actually get it to run on the fly or
on the fly.
automate it. No.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Fine, please. Yeah. Okay. So it's around 12:30. We'll meet after 15 minutes, guys. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so the next topic from the Jenkins side is user management. Right, as of now, as an admin, the Shankar is performing all the operations, creation of jobs, right? What are the configurations I am going to change everything by Shankar only. Right, but in the real time, we will be having a team. Excuse me, please. We'll be having a team. So to maintain the Jenkins, nothing but if I want to create the slaves, any configurations I want to change, right? This area, like the DevOps folks. The second one is we need to provide the permissions to the developers, testers, security, like whoever is a part of the project, right? We need to provide the permissions to them so that they can create their own jobs, they can set up their own automation tasks or whatever they want to do. By that time, we should not give the access of the managed Jenkins, right? Otherwise, there is a chance of they can go to the managed Jenkins and they can change anything here. It is going to impact the entire system, correct? So the restricting the permissions, managing the users and restricting the permissions so that the only the people, the authorized people can go and access the Jenkins. The authorized people can go and build the jobs like that, like the management, user management. So how we are going to manage the users on the Jenkins side? So here, go to the manage Jenkins, and here you can find there is an option called manage users in the security. So select the manage users. Then here, as of now, only the guy Shankar is there. So he is the person logged into the system, the application. Right. So before going to discuss about these users, I will show you one more option here. So sometimes, suppose I forgot my password. I logged out, then I forgot my password. So now there is no such kind of options or feature is available. You can reset the password if you forget password, something like that, right? So see here, you are not doing your. So now by that time, how we are able to connect back to the system, right? If you are not able to connect, you are going to lose everything, right? Until unless you log in the system, right? In such scenarios, right? By mistakenly forget your password, you are not able to connect to system. In such scenarios, we need to go to the Jenkins server. Connect to the Jenkins server. Go to the home location where live Jenkins. Right, this is the home location of the Jenkins, correct? Where live Jenkins. There you are going to find a file called config.xml. Under the home location of the Jenkins, we are going to see a file called config.xml file. Open the file, config.xml file. Right. So this is an XML file. It's going to have the properties of the Jenkins. See here, I can see the agent just now I have created 8899. The security part can be found under this config.xml file. So now here, this is the starting of the file. If you go down like that, so you are going to see a property called use security. This is the property. So right, so when it is a by default it is true, means we are going to use the security, nothing but the username and password to connect to this application. So right, if I forget this password, then how we are going to connect the machine means simply here you need to change this property from the true to false. So means we are going to tell the system that I am not going to use any authentication mechanism to connect my Jenkins. Say service Jenkins restart. Done. Go to your Jenkins, refresh. See here, it is not going to ask any login straight away. It went to your Jenkins. You can say the manage Jenkins everything. Means any user can access your application now without any authentication. Okay. So that's what the property here. Right. So right, this is the property which we are going to use when you forget your password. You are not able to connect your Jenkins application. So by that time, we are going to change the property from use secret from true to false. Right. So now here, when I restart the system, again it becomes a true. So automatically your Jenkins is going to convert into true. Right. So now here the thing is, it is not going to show us any login mechanism. Again, it is an issue for us, right? So any anonymous user can do anything of any kind of activity on your server if they have the access, right? Or access on the solution. So now here we need to set up the login mechanism back. Right, for that, go to the manage Jenkins again. Go to the security part, right? This is the security part. Go to the configure global security part. Click on that part section. Here you can see authentication is enabled. Here you can see security alarm is none. I'm going to use Jenkins own user database. Select, then apply and save. Now here you can see the login came back. So click on the login. Now Shankar, like that. So this is the option, right? Once you disable it, so now in the Jenkins side, it is going to disable the users database. So user database will be disabled so that without asking any user, straight away the application will be open. So now here, when you back, then it will be none. So now I'm going to use the Jenkins own user database, right? So whatever the users are created, the Shankar, whatever the person, so that will be using Jenkins own database. So now I need to enable this one from the none to enable. So that again we're going to ask the authentication. Right. So now here, so this is one thing, right? So if you forget the user password of the Jenkins and you want to go back to the application without password, then this is the option which you need to do. So then the user management. Right. So now here I require to give the permissions to the teams so that they can work with only their respective jobs, not all the jobs, and also they should not touch anything of the managed Jenkins. Like that, the restrictions I want to apply on the user level. So now what I'm going to do here is I will go to the manage Jenkins. Then I'm going to create users. Create user. user one. Password also user one. User one. User one. Somewhere. So I have created a user one. Then I'm going to create one more user. User two. User two. User two. So now in my Jenkins own user database, I have three users. Shankar, user one, and user two. So I'm going to log out. Again, I'm going to log in. So now here, instead of using the Shankar, I'm going to use user one. Password also same, user one. Sign in. Right? So no difference between the Shankar and the user one. User one will be seeing all the things. And also here you can see the manage Jenkins and everything. Right? So in the same fashion, log out and log in with the user two. Right? For the user two also same. No difference. Right? So now here, if I go to the manage Jenkins, and if I go to my manage user section, there I can see the users information. Then I can see the settings. If I go to the settings, here I can set up the properties of the user, API tokens, the credentials, email, like that. Public keys, private keys, that's it. But there is no concept like restricting the user, nothing but. So I cannot restrict the user, access only this job and disable this thing like that. Right? That is the properties I can set up for the user level, not like the restricting. Right? So now here in the manage user section, what we can do here is you can create a users, that's it. But there is no concept of restricting the permissions. Then how we are going to restrict the users to access only the certain things, right? So that's where we need to use the plugins again. Like as I said, Jenkins is not having any kind of own mechanism, no own mechanism in the sense it cannot do anything with the Jenkins own. It is going to use a plugins. Whatever the activities which you want to perform with the Jenkins, everything is a plugin. So now here the plugin which we are going to use to restrict the users. So the name we are going to call as a role-based strategy plugin. Right. So now role-based strategy plugin which we are going to use to restrict the users. Right. Now I have three users. One is the Shankar, the second one is the user one, and third one is the user two. Now all the three users are the admins right now. I cannot restrict them. So now I want to restrict the user one and the user two. Shankar is admin and the user one and the user two are the developers and testers. I want to restrict them. So for that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the plugin to restrict them. So now go to the manage Jenkins. We know, right, how to set up the plugins, how to install the plugins. Manage Jenkins and click on the manage plugins. Then here, go to the availability tab. Then search for role-based strategy plugin. One of the important plugin, one of the entry question, and one of the real-time plugin which we are going to use. This is the mandatory one for us. Role-based authorization strategy. Select it, then download now and install after. Restart. So log in, then Manage Jenkins. Let me see the plugin is installed or not. So go to the manage plugins again. Then click on the installed. Then search for role. So I don't think it is installed. No. Let me go to the available section. Search for role. It is not installed. Again, I'm going to select it, download and install now. Start section. Restarting the Jenkins is in progress. Okay, fine. So it is taking some time, but what I will do, I will restart it forcefully. Press here, you can use the option restart to restart the application. Restart. I'm just going to ask her yes. Okay. So here this is one of the interview questions. Sometime back asking, but right. Currently people are not asking, but anyway, safe side. So in the restart section, right? So here if I give slash restart, now it is going to ask us if you want me to restart or not. If I give yes, what will happen? So if any jobs are running, it is not going to bother about the job, simply going to restart. That is a problem, right? So if I restart something like that, whatever jobs are running, that will be broken. Right? So now there, I want to have some kind of restart, nothing but it has to be wait until all the jobs are completed, then go for the restart. That's what we are going to call as a safe restart. Safe restart. This is the option so that it is not going to restart immediately. It will wait for to complete all the jobs which are running, then it is going to restart. So now here I have restarted my Jenkins, then go to Jenkins login, then manage Jenkins, go to the plugin section just for confirmation, go to the manage plugins and install, click on roll. Yes, now you can see it is installed, it is available, right? So now here go to the Jenkins again, go to the manage Jenkins, so now here if I scroll down, I can see manage users, these are the other options, and these are the system configurations and the system status, troubleshooting tools and actions, right? I required an option to restrict the users by accessing only the certain components of the Jenkins or certain options of the Jenkins. So for that, I required the role-based strategy plugin, right? That I have installed, but where I have to configure it. Once the plugin installed, where I have to configure it so that I can restrict the users. So for that again, we need to change one more property to use the role. Once the plugin is installed, then to use the plugin, we need to change the property so that we can use that particular role-based strategy plugin. So where we are going to change the property. So again, that will be the security part. So configure, again, go to the configure global security, then scroll down here. In the authorization section, we are going to see right now anyone can do anything, authorization. So now I'm going to change it to role-based strategy option. So by default, we are not going to see this option. Once the plugin is installed, role-based strategy plugin installed, then only we are going to see this option. Right? So the steps are install the plugin. Once the plugin is installed, then it comes to global security, configure global security, then go to the authorization section. Under that, select the role-based strategy. Then click on apply and save. Now this option will be enabled for us so that you can use this option, the plugin, to restrict the users. Right. So now again, go to the once the section is enabled means once you have selected the role-based option, then go to the manage Jenkins again. Then scroll down here. We should see an option called manage users. A new option is analyzed and categorized. So this option only available when you enable, when you selected the role-based option under the global security stuff. Right. So now click on the manage and assign roles. Right. So now here under the manage and assign roles, we are going to see two options. One is manage roles and the second one is assign roles. Right. So here manage roles are nothing but we are going to create the roles. Right. So the roles will be having the permissions. Like you can correlate with our groups. Right. So now instead of giving the permissions to your individual user level, we are going to create the groups. Now we are going to apply the permissions on the group level. Then we are going to add the users to the group. So the same thing here also, like the roles. So in the manage roles, we are going to have two sections. One is the global role section and the second one is the item role section. So usually total three sections will be there. One is the global role section and the second one is the item role section and third one is the node role section. Right. So the roles are nothing but we are going to create the groups and we are going to apply the permissions on the groups. That's what the manage roles. So let's click on the manage roles. So now we are going to see global roles, item roles, node roles. Nodes are nothing but the on the slave missions, what you want to apply, what you want to provide the permissions. Right. So now here these are the two which we are going to use in our real-time practice. So now the global roles are nothing but overall Jenkins on overall Jenkins, right? So the complete Jenkins, what kind of access you want to provide? That's what the global role. Item roles are nothing but on the job level, on the job level. So what are the jobs you want to provide the access? Right. So this is what the item roles, global role nothing but on overall the Jenkins level, like these options, manage Jenkins, everything. Right. That's what the global level. So now we need to create the global roles, then we need to create the item roles. So for that, what I'm going to do here is I will go to the manage. Then here I will click on the manage and assign roles and click on the manage roles. Right. So here you can see by default the admin is there. So that is the reason Shankar, user one, user two, all are becoming the admins. Right. So now here I don't want to give the admin privileges to the user one and user two. That's what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create, I'm going to what kind of access you want to provide for that. Let me see. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a read, just read permissions or read some name admins with read permissions. So click on the admin read. So now here or else simple. So I'm going to create employees instead of admin read or something employee role. So now here these are the employees, my project So now click on the employee. Now these guys should not have all the access which are having by the admin. Only they need to have the read access, read all access. So just we are giving the overall on the overall application level, only the read access we are providing. So here you can see this is the overall section, credential section, usernames and passwords, right? What are the usernames and passwords we are managing? That's for the credential section. On the agent, on the slave machines, what kind of operation they can perform, that area you can decide here. And the job level, right? So you can see build, cancel, configure, create, delete, discover, everything. On the execution of job, viewing the job, SCM management, and logbook resource. Like these are the sections we are going to have. Now based on the sections, that based on the requirement, whether we need to give the permissions to the sections or not, we are going to decide. Right. So now here the admin should have the complete access, but the employee are going to have only the read-only access, because they should not touch this manage Jenkins. Right. This is only for the admins. So now this is what I have done. Then right, in my employees, I have all of my development team, testing team, QA team, everything will come into the employees. So now here, right, so now the developers and testers should not have the same access, right? Because the developers are going to have their own jobs and testers are going to have their own jobs. The developer should not go and touch the tester job. In the same fashion, testers should not touch the developer jobs or other jobs or any other jobs. Right? Like that, you need to restrict so that they are not going to see any other jobs apart from their own jobs. Own jobs means the testing jobs or the development jobs, like that. Right. So that categorization we are going to decide under the item roles. On the job level, what kind of access you want to provide. Right. So now here I'm going to create a role. So develop some role, some name. Now here the pattern, how the pattern will be looks like. So my pattern of the job will be, the job name is going to start with the dev, and it can be anything after the dev, but the job name should be start with the dev. So that is the my job pattern. So click on add. In the same fashion, test. I'm going to create one more role, test. Now the job pattern should be start with test dot star, anything after test, it can be anything. Add. So now whatever the jobs pattern I have given means, my job name always should start with dev followed by anything. Those are the development jobs. Test followed by anything. Those are the test jobs. So on that particular jobs, what kind of actions they can perform. This is the job level access. This is the global overall the Jenkins level access. So now here on the job level, they can do anything. They are the owners of this particular. So it means they can perform anything on the job levels. On the job level means on the particular job. Whatever the jobs they are going to create, they can take any action on the job. So for that, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to give every access, every access of the particular job. So I'm going to select everything. This is on the job level, not on the overall Jenkins level. So now here, these are the things I have provided. Done. Right. So now here, I have created total 3 roles. Overall, on the global side, I have created a role called employee. For the employee, just I have given the read access. No action they can perform. The persons who are belongs to the employee, they can manage only, they can see only the read thing. Means they can see the information. That's it. They cannot see anything apart from that. Now I have created in the item roles. One is the development role and second one is the test role. The development role is nothing but the jobs which are going to start with the keyword dev. Those are belongs to the development. Yeah, unfortunately the power gone. So you guys able to hear me? Yeah, yeah. Thanks, Chris. Thanks for confirmation. Yeah. So yeah, so here we have created total three roles. One is the employee role on the globally side. So what can they can access? Just a read access. Then created two roles for the job level. One is for my development and one is for my test. Nothing but. So this role is belongs to the jobs which are going to start with the dev keyword, and this role is nothing but the jobs which are going to start with the test keyword. That's it. So now whatever the jobs are created with the dev keyword, so now the role will be having all the permissions on the job level. In the same fashion, whatever the jobs are going to create with the test keyword, the test jobs are going to have all the permissions. So these are the three roles which we defined in the manage roles area. Then I will scroll down, I will click on apply, and I am going to click on save. Now the roles are defined. Now the people has to be added to the roles. That's what the assign roles. Right, so now click on the assign roles. So now in the assign roles we can see whatever the roles we have created in the global role section. Sorry, I'm into the manage role section. Right, so now in the manage role section we have created three roles. One is from the global side and the two are from the item side. So now there in the assign roles also you can see the three roles. One is the global, second one is item, and third one is node. So now here you can see this is the role I have created on the global side, and these are the two roles which I have created from the item side. So now here we need to decide, right, what kind of access I need to provide to the people. So now here I am going to use the user one. Shankar is already created, he is having the admin access. So now I'm going to add user one and I'm going to add user two. So now these two now should not be admin, they should be employees to me. Right. So now here apply and save. Yes or no? Log out. Yeah, due to the power failure, some disturbance. Yeah. So now here I logged out from the application, then I'm trying to log in again. Right. So now here I'm going to use the user one and user one login. See here, The user one is not having any kind of permissions. Nothing is going to say. Manage Jenkins, everything is gone. Right. So in the same fashion, if I'm trying to log in with the user 2, the same thing. No permissions there because just I have provided the read access. That's it. But even I did not mention like they can access the jobs also. Just I have given the read access on the Jenkins side. So that is the reason they can see only this part. So now if I logged out, then I'm trying to log in as a Shankar. He is an admin. He can access everything of the application. Right. So now here, now again, let's recollect it again. So we have created total 3 roles from the global side. One global role, nothing but the employee role. So now this employee role will be having only the read access. Then we have created 2 more roles, development role and test role. Development is nothing but it is going to recognize the dev jobs which are going to have the keyword at the starting as a key dev, and the test jobs which are going to have the keyword test in front of the job. So those jobs will be having all the privileges, the dev jobs and test jobs, not the other jobs. So now here I went to the assign roles. In the assign role section, as of now, just assign the user 1 and user 2 to the global role, not at the item roles. So that is the reason they can see only the read access thing, only the few options of the Jenkins application. So now, if I am going to treat the user 1 as a developer and I'm going to treat the user 2 as a tester, so now they can able to access only the development job by user 1, and they are going to access only the test job by the user 2. Now I'm going to treat them as a developer and tester. Right. So now here in my dashboard, if I see there are n number of jobs are there, but no job is started with the dev or no job is started with the test. Means they cannot access anything in the in this particular dashboard. So now here to see the use case, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create two jobs. One is dev ICIC something freestyle, some job name. So this is my project and this is the module. So now the word is started with the dev. Okay. So I'm not going to configure anything. Simply I want to see how the plugin is going to work, the role based one. So saved it. So in the same fashion, I'm going to create one more job with the test keyword. Apply and save. Right. So now in my dashboard, now there are a number of jobs are there. Now in the n number of jobs, I can see there is a one job called dev and one more job called test. But test of jobs are with some different naming conventions. Right. So now if I'm going to treat the user one as a developer, they can access only this job because this is started with the dev. If I'm going to treat the user two as a tester, then they should have access only this test job. That's what my intention also that was. I want to give only access on the job levels to the user one and user two. Now on this particular job, they can perform anything on the because they are the owner of this development job. In the same fashion, on the test job, the testers can do whatever they want. They should have all the access on the job level. Right. So now here, now these access I want to provide, these jobs access I want to provide. For that, the item roles is the concept. Now, right, restricting the persons on the job level, nothing but the item roles. So now go to the manage Jenkins, then go to the section again, manage and assign roles section. Click on the option, then assigning the persons to the roles, assign roles. Click on the assign roles, then right. So global role is given to the people, the user one and the user two. Here we need to remember one thing: the person, the user must and should have the global role. You cannot give an item roles to a user without the global role. It is a mandatory one for us, right? So for that, we are going to have only one role, which is going to have the read access only. So first initially we are going to give the read access for the users, then later on we are going to add the users on the item role level. So now here I am going to add user 1 and I am going to add user 2. Now user 1 I am going to treat as a developer and user 2 I am going to treat as a tester. Select it. Then scroll down, apply and save. Then log out. Try to log in as user 1. Still they cannot access anything. So let me go to Jenkins, log out. Sometimes it is not going to show you the changes immediately. Try to restart it, the application. Here also it is not restarting. Let's see. User 1, user 1. So missing overall administration permissions here, the user 1. Let's see. Log out. Login as Shankar. Page admin. Go to the manage Jenkins and go to the manage and assign roles. Manage roles here. You can see employees having the overall daily permissions, correct? So now go to the manage and assign roles. Then click on the assign roles. Yes, they have the access. I can see they have the access. So why it is showing as it requires the overall daily permissions. So I'm going to restart the application. You can find all the steps here, guys. So I have explained this one also. Windows slave. The somewhere we are going to see this section also. This one, role based as a platform. Create the users, then create a role, global role, development test, add the persons, add the roles, like this. Now try to log in a user 1, user 1. Let's see here. You can see that sometimes the application will it will work like it will works like a weird way. So it is not going to show you the changes immediately. So simple. What you need to do here is restart the application. That's it. As admin, restart the application. Then it works finally. Okay. Right here, the user 1 can access only the dev job. Nothing from here. If they click on the dev job, On the dev job, they can perform whatever they want. They can delete, they can configure, they can build, right? Full access on the job level, right? In the same fashion also, if I logged in with the test user, nothing but the user 2, so then they can access only the test jobs, right? So now going forward, whatever the jobs are going to create, right? So with the keyword dev or test, these people can access the particular jobs. Right. So now these jobs are not belongs to the developers or testers. So that is the reason these jobs are in hidden. Means hidden means they cannot access it. We are restricting, right? So like we are restricting all the options also, just we are providing the read access. So now we are going to create the item roles based on the requirement. So now the roles will be assigned to the people so that they can get the required permission. Required permission means they are going to get the permissions to get the to access the particular jobs. This is one of the future or one of the option we are going to use in our real-time practice, and this is also our interview question. So now there is a requirement. There is a requirement like, okay, fine. The developers will be accessing the dev, the jobs which are start with the dev, and the testers are going to get the access of the jobs which are going to start with the test keyword. That is fine. Now I want to give the access of GOL job to the developer. I want to give the CA job. I want to give the SIT job like that. So then what we are going to do? Job level access. Like now the requirement is not like the group level, individual job level access I want to provide. Right. So now here we can achieve that one also with the role-based strategy plugin. Suppose I want to provide this CA job access to the user one. So now what I will do, I will take the job name and go to the manage Jenkins. Right. So here scroll down, manage and assign roles. Click on the manage roles. Now I want to provide the CA job access. Right. So now here job level access. Right. So now you don't require the global role concept. You require a item role. So now my role is my role name is CA job and the pattern also I use a CA job. So click on add. One more role is created with the name CA job. So now here what kind of access you want to provide on that particular CA job. Suppose I want to give this kind of access. So now delete I am going to remove. I don't want to give the delete option on that particular job. They can do anything but except the delete. They cannot delete anything. Right. So now this is the CA job. So now apply and save. Right. So now go to the assign roles. To whom you want to provide this access. I want to provide the access for the user one. CA job. Apply and save. Only the job thing. So that is the reason I have touched the item roles. You don't require to touch the global role. So user one, user one. See, now the user one can have an access of the dev jobs which are going to start with the dev queue, and also they can have the access on the CA job. So now if I click on the CA job, right? So they can do anything but except the delete, right? The delete option is gone. They cannot delete the job. Except the delete, they can do whatever they want. But in the CA job or the dev job, they have the authority of to delete also. Like that, we can restrict it. Right? This is one way, right? Suppose if I want to give 10 different jobs, then yes, you need to create the 10 different roles. That's it. If I want to go with the role-based strategy plugin, yes, we require to create a role, then the role has to be assigned to the team. That's it. That is the option only we are going to have. So now here, this is the option, right? In the real time, we are going to use this. This is the option only because the people will be, right? The project will be having 50 to 60 team, 50 to 60 members of the team. So now we'll be having the 20 developers, 10 testers like that. So now 20 developers will be required some kind of access. There the group thing is required instead of going with the individual job level. Right. So now here, this is one way of the managing the access for the users. We have the second way also, nothing but individual job level access I want to provide. Not like I don't want to create such kind of groups and blah blah things. I want to go on a job level. So I want to provide the access on the job level. Right. So now here my requirement is something like that. Suppose so now I want to give CA job, pipeline test, and slave test like that. These three jobs I want to give the user one, and the test I say Windows test I want to provide to the user two. Right. So now here, no, you cannot, like, these are not the pattern matching kind of jobs. There are the same, some different jobs here. If you have the jobs with some kind of pattern, they are following some kind of pattern, then yes, you can, the role based one is the suggestible one. So here there is no such kind of pattern we are going to maintain while creating the jobs. There are also something like isolated jobs, some different naming convention. So now individual job level access you want to provide, that is also possible with the role based strategy, like how I have created it. Right. So now there is another way so to manage this kind of scenario. So that's what here, go to the manage Jenkins and go to the global security again. Global security again. So now here, you can find here one more option called project based matrix authorization strategy. Now at present we are working with the role based one. Now there is one more option called project. So now select this one. So here is going to show you anonymous users, authenticated users. The same, nothing but you can treat this one as a global role. Overall, on the overall Jenkins side, what kind of access you want to provide to the people. So that's what here you can see. So I click on add user. So I'm going to add user one here, and I'm going to add user two here. Right. So I want to give only the overall read permissions. Right. So now here, once that is done, user one and user two are added to the overall read. There is nothing but the global level. Global level. Apply and save. Right. So now I want to provide the access on the job level. So for that, what we need to do here is we need to go to the job level thing. So now I'll go to the some GOL job. Just you need to go to each and every job like that. So now go to the configuration. Right here you can see we are going to find an option called project based thing. So enable, you can see here, enable, yes, enable project based security. This is the option. Select this one. So now here again it is going to ask you the user, which user you want to provide this job, the permissions. User one, I am going to provide to the user one. Add. So now what kind of this is the item role structure for us when I compare with the role based. So I say here I want to provide, suppose this kind of all the access I want to provide to this game. Only for the user one, this GOL job. Apply and save. Now go to the Jenkins and I want to provide the access for the city job to the user to configure, enable, add user to, okay, and developer access. Or I can think I can select here also. Yes. Yeah, this is the easiest way actually. You can select here, grant all permissions or remove all permissions. Apply and save. Then I will go to the dashboard again. So here I want to provide some sonar test. Configure. So this is also I want to provide to the user too. Okay, then provide all the permissions. User two. Apply and save. So now different jobs and people are assigned to the people means the user one is to the particular jobs, what are the jobs I have, right? So now here log out user one, right? Now you can see only the GOL job, no pattern, nothing. So individual job level access. So log out user two, right? Different pattern jobs, SIT job and so on, just like that, right? So likewise, we can provide the permissions on the job level or on the pattern level, like on the group level, right? So here the problem with the project is right. So it is a huge time taken process. If I have hundreds of jobs, then I need to provide the access to the hundreds of jobs to the people means, right? So I need to go to each and every job, then I need to configure it. Then also the maintenance also very difficult, right? So when I want to maintain the jobs, like remove the permissions, applying the permissions, each and every job I need to go and I need to remove the permissions, I need to add the permissions, whatever the permissions I need to apply based on the requirement. So that's where the role based is the one which is the popular one. So you don't need to do all the stuff, something like that. Simply create a patterns and the patterns will be assigned to the permission. The permissions are assigned to the patterns and people are going to assign to the particular roles. Right. So simply you can manage the patterns. Go to the patterns, apply or remove whatever the permissions you want to give or you want to remove it. Right. Right. There are two ways. One is the role based one and the second one is the project based matrix. This is also one of the interview question for us and the real time practice for us. Right, guys? So this is one thing to manage the users on the Jenkins side by using the plugins. So then backups. So taking the backup of the Jenkins, right? So because Jenkins is a crucial thing for us, right? So we are going to manage our complete automations, complete CI/CD process, everything from the Jenkins only. If you lose the Jenkins server, that's it, right? Everything will be halted. Right, the people, you cannot have the development environment, you cannot deploy the code in the Q environment, you cannot deploy the code in the ACAT production, whatever, everything will, right? So that is where Jenkins is very crucial for us. You have to take the backup regular basis. Otherwise, if you lose something, you cannot bring it back. Then you are going to work on the thing again. Then how much time you are going to spend to put the things or to bring it back with the latest state? It's a big hurdle for us, biggest problem for us, big headache for us actually. Right? So for that, what we are going to do regularly, we are going to take the Jenkins backup, the server backup, so that to handle the disaster recoveries or something went wrong with the servers, anything, any issues, if you are facing from the server side, immediately you have to be in a position like immediately you need to bring the server back, either fix it or create a new mission. Then on the new mission, launch everything. Right? If you are able to fix the issue, then fix it up. If you are not able to fix the issue, simply what you need to do, you need to create a separate mission on the job. You need to push means you need to have the complete content like the replica, like the Ram said, right? The replica, the complete replica has to be created. So that I am going to use the other mission instead of the one which is having the issue. Like that. So for that, what we are going to do, the backups are going to play a vital role here. Backups are very important for us. So now here, how we are going to take the backup? That is the first point here. So taking the backup, multiple ways here, right? We know if you are good with the shell scripts, right? If you are good with the shell script, then simply what we can do here is, so now you know all the content, everything like the configurations, that whatever the configurations I'm going to perform here, all the stuff, and also what are the jobs I have created here, right? And what are the credentials, right? So keys are created, the usernames and password, manage credentials, right? Everything will be under your Jenkins home location. Sudo -i cd var lib Jenkins. Okay. I think this is the slave mission, and this is our Jenkins server. cd var lib Jenkins. Right. So now here complete content, right? So including your configurations, your workspace, users information, right? So if I go to the users, I can see the root, Shankar, user one, user two, right? So the user information like that. If I go to the jobs, I can see all the jobs information, cd jobs ls, all of my Jenkins jobs. Likewise, you can go to the secrets to get the secret information, workspace, right? The temporary area, the plugins, all the plugins information, your slaves information, the nodes, cd nodes, right? Linux 11 Windows slave, right? So that's the configurations of the Linux 11 Windows slave, right? So you can find the information here, ls. This is the configuration file, right? So now if something went wrong, if I take this, suppose when I'm going to have, I want to bring back the slave mission, so simply copy the configuration file from here to the other server, so that you are going to get the node back, right? So if you lose the plugins, so simply copy the plugins folder from here to into your new server, so that you will get all the plugins whatever you have installed it. Like the users I want to get, simply copy the users folder from here to there. You are going to get all the users like that. So whatever the configurations, what are the jobs, what are the users you have created on the server, on the Jenkins server, right? So simply you need to copy the respective folders from here to the new server, so that you will get all the things back. Right? So means you have to take the backup of your home location. That's it. Your home location means the Jenkins home location, not right. So not the user location. Here the Jenkins home location where I live Jenkins. This is the directory you need to take the backup. Right. So now here from the complete directory you can skip this one because workspace is the temporary one. Right. So when the jobs are going to build, by that time it's going to use the workspace. Just the thing is which you require these jobs. That's it. Now you require all the configuration. So now I can click it again, so I can get the workspace back. The workspace is not the mandatory one for us actually. Workspace is a temporary location where the jobs are going to build. But we require the jobs. We require the job configurations. Right. So now while taking the backup, you can skip the workspace. It is not mandatory for us. Like that, what you can do, you can write a shell scripts or a Python scripts so that those guys are going to take the backup of your Jenkins home location, and you can decide what you want to take the backup. So the mandatory parts you can take the backup. You can leave the parts, the directories or the files which are not important, or you don't want to take that one also. You don't want to take that kind of risk also. Simply copy the complete directory. Right? What is the complete directory here? PWD. Then store into some location. Some location means your backup server. That's it. So if something went wrong, simply create a Jenkins machine, create a new server. On the new server, install the Jenkins. Now you will get the new Jenkins, new fresh Jenkins server. Then copy this complete content from here to copy into that particular server, so that everything you are going to get. That's it. Likewise. So this is one way. So now here, everything we need to take care means you need to write a shell script or Python script. Then you need to decide how to take the backup, what are the folders or what are the files you want to take the backup, how frequently you want to take the backup. Everything you need to decide. So now here, this is one way. The second way, which is going to provide by the Jenkins. So you don't worry about to write the shell scripts and other stuff. Simply the Jenkins will take care of the backup. Right? But here, it is not going to take the complete home location of the Jenkins, it is going to take the imported topics like the plugins, users, jobs. So these are the important for us. The other stuff can be configured, but these are things which are important for us. So only the important sections will be taken as a backup by the Jenkins backup plugin. You want to take the whole backup, then yes, you should not use the backup plugin. You have to create your own scripts, right? Either way. So now let's see how to use the plugin, and with the help of the plugin, how we are going to take the backups, right? Then how we are going to restore the backups also. If something failed, something gone, then how we are going to restore the backup data back, restoring the data to back. Right. So for that, go to the manage Jenkins. Right. Again, it's the plugin. Right. So now here is the plugin. So for that, what you need to do, you need to go to the Jenkins back, manage Jenkins, then under the Jenkins, go to the manage Jenkins. Then here, go to the plugin section, manage plugins, go to the available section. Then from here, search for thin backup. This is the one. Thin backup is the plugin which is going to take the backup of your Jenkins application. Select, download now, and install. Right, so now once the plugin is installed, now go to the manage Jenkins, then go to your manage Jenkins section, and somewhere you are going to see thin backup. So right, this option we are going to see once the plugin is installed. Otherwise, we are not going to see this option. So select it, thin backup. Now you can see there are some options: backup now, restore, and settings. Right. So here, when I click on the backup, automatically the backup will be taken. So now to bring back the data, someone you lost, you can bring it back to by the help of restore. So now settings, right? How frequently you want to take the backup, what kind of content you want to take the backup, those options you can find it here. Right. So here is going to ask you where the backup you want to store. Right. So I want to store my backup under my varlib Jenkins. So copy and paste. Right. So now here backup schedule. Right. So if you want to set up a schedule, right, so that it automatically the backup is going to take care. Nothing but your cron job. Our cron job only, right? A cron syntax only, right? So cron job means cron syntax. So that usually we are going to set up the backup every day at midnight or some point of time, right? Daily once we are going to take the backup. So that's what we are going to go with the backup schedule. So now these two are important. So now here, these are like, so here if you want to take the differential backups, right? If you, now no actions are performed, no updates are happening. Actions means no updates are happening on the Jenkins application. So then the backup is not recorded because the same copy is already there. I want to take the differential, right? So now today I have changed something new. A new job is created or some configuration has changed. That is what the differential backup you want to take. You can take it. So then maximum number of backup sets, right? How many backups you want to keep it. Otherwise, what will happen in the back end? It's going to consume the space. Yeah, so usually I want to maintain the latest 7 days backup. That is enough for me. If I lost something, immediately I need to bring the previous backup to as a latest, right? So our safe side, you can maintain the 7 days or 10 days or 30 days like that. How many backups you want to keep, right? So now if you want to exclude any files, right? So here whatever the backup it is going to take. So now from that location, if any files which are not required, like temp files or buffer files or those files, you want to exclude, you can exclude by using the filter expressions, right? So now here, right, if something fails, something happened with the Jenkins while doing the backup, now you are going to force the Jenkins to quiet mode after specified minutes. So something happened, it's going to go to the quiet mode. So it is not go for the taking the backup in a continuously like that. So now here some other options you can see. So backup the build archives, backup the only builds market to keep. So like that you can have extra options so that you can take the backups for the particular things. Right, so backup the build results. I want to take the backup of build results, nothing but the history. History also I want to take the backup. Right, like you can see some other options. So now here I have mentioned backup directory, something like that. The schedule right now I did not mention because I don't want to set up the schedule, but in the real time we are going to set up the schedule here also. So now save it. Now click on backup now. At present, at the moment, I click on backup now. So now it has taken the backup. If I go to my Jenkins server and ls, so somewhere it is going to create a directory for the backup. Full 2027-19 today's date and some the time. This is not the Indian timing. That is the server timing, like USD timing or UTC timing. So next, so here the data has been taken, the backup. Now if I go to the backup location, so right, so it has taken the, as I said, it is not going to take the complete backup. It is going to take the important data only, like users information, nodes information, jobs information, and some plugins. Some plugins are some configuration files. That's it. But this is information it has taken. If I go to the settings, you can see backup plugins also. If you want to take the backup plugins also, this is the option. Here as of now, it is not taken the plugins. So you require the plugins, otherwise again you need to install all the plugins. So for that you can enable this one. So the plugins also going to take. Right. So likewise here, only the required content is going to take it as a backup here by your thin backup plugin. Right. So now here I want to restore it. I want to restore the data back. Right. So here if you want to restore the data back means if you lose something, then you want to restore it back. So click on the restore. Now it's going to ask you the list. So right, how many backups you are taken, that list will be displayed here. Out of all the backups, which one you want to take it. Based on the time, you can choose. So 831 is the latest one, which I have taken the backup. Right. So now here, let me go back to thin backup. Then I'm going to click on backup now again. So now two backups are going to create. So now here, let me go here and cd dot dot ls cd dot dot ls. Right. So here you can see 831 and 832. Two are there. So now here. Now you can see in the latest the plugins are came. That earlier I did not select the plugin. That is the reason I am not going to see the plugin section. Now I can see the plugins also. Right. So now here, likewise you can take the backups. Right. So then I want to restore the data back something. So now here clear ls. Now 832 is the latest, which I have taken as a backup. Now here I will go to my Jenkins. One second, check the settings again. So here I have taken the build results also, backup build archive, archive. Okay, fine. So now here I will go to the Jenkins dashboard. Then yeah. So now these are the jobs I have right now. So now let me go to any one other job. Let's wanna test. See nothing before only one use sample job. CA job. CA job. Yeah. Right. So here I have like build list select 27 is there. So what I am going to do, I am going to delete bill number 27. Yes. And I'm going to delete the latest 26 also. Latest means successfully passed one. Now deleted 26th. Right. So now here, now the requirement is like, so whatever the latest build was there, the failure build, they want to see what is the issue, why the build got failed. So now what you did, you deleted the build 27th and also you deleted the 26th also. Right. So now here they want to see the problem, why the build got failed. Right. Likewise, they want to see the details. So now how we are going to bring it back. Right. So there the restore. You can bring it back. So the deleted content like the bill numbers or bill history or whatever the data you have deleted, what are the configurations you have deleted, you want to bring it back. So there the restore is going to work. Right. So now here what I will do. So now I know I have the backups. Before the deletion, I have taken the backups. So right. So these are the backups right now I have. So these are the backups which I have taken before the bills are going to delete. Right. So now here I will use this backup to restore the data back. So now what I will do, I will go to this is the CA job, right? So CA job right now 2050 is there. So now I'll go to the Jenkins. Then I will go to the manage Jenkins. Then here go to the thin backup plugin again. Then here go to the restore thing. Here select it. Which one you want it? 32 is the latest. Click on the restore. It is trying to restore the data from this particular backup. Done. So now go to, still it is loading. Done. So now go to the Jenkins dashboard. Go to the CA job. See, still I can see the 25. Right. So once the restore is done, you need to restart it. So right. So what you need to restart? So let me try to restart the application. Restart. We are trying to restart the application. We'll see whether the deleted content is back or not. So obviously it is not going to come back because this is an application level, but that is a data level. So obviously we need to restart the server. So connect the sensor. Go to the CA job. I think it's back with the application restart. CA job. Yes. Okay. Earlier with the application restart is not going to apply. I think maybe with the latest patch, the Jenkins it is coming back. Yeah. Now you can see here 26th and 27th back. Right. 25th was the latest one before the restore. Now after the restore again the deleted content is back. So likewise we can restore the data even though you deleted by mistakenly or accidentally or intentionally or anything, but you want to bring it back, simply can bring the data back with the help of the restore option. So only the problem, only the disadvantage with this thin backup plugin is you cannot, right? So here you cannot means the backups are going to store in the same server. Then what is the use, right? If the backups are going to, the purpose of the backup is if the Jenkins is down, if the Jenkins is gone, then I want to bring the machine back on fly. On fly means less than minutes, in a minute, couple of minutes, or 5 minutes or 2 minutes, like something like that. But if the server is gone, if you are going to lose the server as well as you are going to lose the backup, then how you are going to bring the data back? The data means your Jenkins is back. So that is the problem with the thin backup plugin. So because it is going to store the backup also in the same server. So then what we need to do here is use the thin backup plugin. Use the thin backup plugin. Then once the thin backup plugin is executed based on the schedule, right? In the settings, we are going to set up the cron job, the schedule, so that it is going to take the backup on the particular time whatever we have mentioned there. So once the backup has been taken by thin backup plugin, then write a shell script, then trigger the shell script, nothing but copy the data, nothing but this folder into a separate server. Now we are going to write a shell script. The shell script job is to copy the data, whatever the backup was created with the backup plugin, copy the data from the Jenkins server to paste it or push it to the remote server, nothing but the backup server. Now that script has to be scheduled, right? Suppose I have scheduled at 10 p.m. daily 10 p.m. My thin backup has to be taken the backup. Now I'm going to write a shell script to copy the thin backup data from here to by backup server. Now the shell script I'm going to schedule at 10:30 p.m. or 11 o'clock p.m. so that once the backup is done, then my shell script is going to execute. Then 11 o'clock it's going to take the backup and copy into the other server. Like that, again we need to set up this process. Or simply only one shell script, write it so that the shell script is going to copy the data and push into the remote server. There you don't require to use the backup plugin. Like that, like the multiple ways are there. Okay, this is the way, the plugin way, which is nothing but to store the data and restore the data, bring it back, right guys? So this is about the thin back taking the backup of Jenkins server. So usually, right, so usually in our real-time practice, right, so here, right, so when the cloud came to the picture, so many things become very easy. Become very easy means you don't worry about the maintenance part. The first hurdle what they eliminated is maintenance, right? So now again if the data has been taken from this server, nothing but the Jenkins server to here, and I push it into this server again, this server also I need to maintain. If suppose the backup server is gone, then again there is a problem. You need to maintain one more backup server, backup to backup. How many backups you are going to maintain like that? What is the guarantee that you are going to have the safest backup, high availability backup, right? So now here that is a critical question, like, right? So you cannot give any guarantee like my server will be always up and running throughout the year, even there's a production server or your backup server. So that problem is eliminated by maintenance, right? That's what the maintenance. The problem is eliminated by cloud. So now here we have used a cloud service here. We have used a cloud service. So now the cloud service, like we'll discuss about the service later, but just I'm trying to give an overview, guys. So how effectively, how easily can take the backups. So now here, something the password is set up is not. Okay, fine. So anyway, I will show you in our next class. Like what I would like to show you guys where the backups are going to take with the help of the cloud service so that you can eliminate the maintenance burden. Okay, anyway, I will show you this one in our next class. Let me set up this one because they have some pattern they have set up, so it is not made in that pattern actually. Okay, yeah. So I'm going to stop it for today here. So in our next class, there are like very few concepts are left over for the Jenkins, like which is not mandatory, but yes, it is required. So maybe 30 to 40 minutes class is left. So then we'll start our Ansible infrastructure management tool called Ansible. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Agree,
Right,
Shankar.
guys. Yeah. Thank you, guys. See you next weekend. Bye bye.
Bye.